Besides that guy Wayne County screaming.
I can hear you.
All right, perfect.
121.5.
There we go, there we go, there we go. Excellent. Okay, so when your radios come up, hit the enter button twice for me. And one more time, yep. All right, and so our COM ones are up here. This is our active and our standby. And this is our navigation one, active and standby.
So this is primary and then this is...
Well, the top in the COM is primary, the bottom is standby. That's for VORs, that's your primary for Navi 1 and your standby for Navi 1. Twos are down here. So this is COM 2, active and standby, and navigation 2, active and standby for you.
Okay.
So right now we're talking on 122.8.
How do they change the 122.8?
So if you want to switch it, hit that C with the arrows, and that'll turn 125.5 into your active.
Okay.
If you want to actually...
Oh, because I have it set on the bottom.
Correct. And if what you're going to change when you move this is you're going to move whichever one's on the bottom. You're talking on the top, you're moving on the bottom. Yep.
And all you have to do is switch back and forth on the top.
Yep, and same with this. Now down here, you hit this button. And that'll move your active COM 2 to your from your standby to your active.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, I'm sure there's something else on there we didn't do yet.
So, prime, next, okay, next.
What do we got? Exterior lights, those are good for, actually we need to flip our Navi lights on in this one right away. Avionics Master is now on. Okay, so we're good. Okay. And then do me a favor and let's go ahead and set the altimeter here while we're sitting here. And that's to a field elevation of 975, so just a little bit off, a little bit lower pressure than the last time. We're at 1,000 right now, so take the big one between the 0 and that hash mark right there, right in the middle, and that'll be 975.
Okay.
Okay. All right, and then the last thing is to make sure we do a brake test. So this is your aircraft here. You've got the brakes, okay?
Okay, got it.
Just get me rolling a little bit and then lock those brakes back up. All right, now we got a brake check. Excellent. Yep. So you can go ahead and take us out. And I think he's going to wait for you. Just remember you got a tail back there, and you can go ahead and get us out here. Heels on the floor for me. All the way off those brakes. There you go, throttle back. Throttle back for me. There you go.
Okay, clear left.
We are cleared left on the taxiway, cleared right on the taxiway. Just watch 3 Bravo Kilo's wingtip there for me.
Yep.
And make sure your heels are all the way on the floor. We're just touching the bottoms of the pedals there.
Watcher traffic.
You're on the brakes, so you got to get all the way to the bottoms of those pedals. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. All the way, drop your feet all the way down. Keep going. All the way at the bottom. There we go. Now we're on the rudders. If you're on the top half, you're on the brakes.
I can feel the brakes.
Yeah, if you're on the top half, you're on the brakes. Bottom half, you're on the rudders. So let's go ahead and throttle back all the way to idle here. And then I'm just going to tap the brakes just to slow us down just a little bit. Man, I sit so high in this one. I always forget how high I sit in 72 Quebec compared to all the other 172s.
Yeah,
we want to be just a brisk walk on here, so nice and slow, just a brisk walk. But yeah, your feet should almost be parallel with the ground, just touching the bottoms of those pedals.
Okay. Right, left. I'm trying to feel the rudder.
Yep.
Yeah, for some reason, some of the airplanes, it's tight, some are like really loose.
Yeah, everyone will be a little different. Now, we're not going to do what that plane did because I'm not sure how that's benefiting him, but we're going to go off in 45 degrees in the other way. That way we can actually see the pattern. And then we can do a run up. So you can start to tap those brakes for me. We can slow down back here so we don't get caught in his jet wash when we roll up. And then you can go ahead and do your run up.
Working brakes set. Seat belts secure, cabin doors close. Flight controls free and correct. Instruments check. Fuel quantity, of course, it's full mixture set to rich. Throttle 1700. Magnetos left. Right. Carbide on. Okay.
So those magneto checks that you were doing, right?
Yeah.
So what we got to do is we got to look at the drops on the RPM gauges. So what we're going to do is nice and gently, we're going to drop them 2 to the left and see that drop.
Yep.
And then bring them back. Okay, about
all the way
100.
to the right.
Yep, and then 1 to the left and back. All right. There we go. And there's that drop again. And now we're back to both. So we actually have to monitor and see, okay, how much is the drop? What we're checking there for is, are both mags working? So if we lose a mag in the air and the other one's not working, we just lost our engine.
Okay.
So we're making sure that if we lose a mag, we're still going to have enough power to get ourselves on the ground safely. So it's not just about flipping them around real quick. It's about actually seeing what the results are.
Right?
Yep.
Okay, vacuum.
In this one, our suction is right there in the middle. Yep.
Instruments all green. Yep, all pressure, temp.
Yep, and our RPM gauge seems to be working properly, right?
Throttle to idle. And back to 1000. Friction adjust, avionics set.
So there's 2 times that are really important when we're flying IFR. The first is engine start, which was for us was 3:07. And then the second thing is takeoff time, because we're worried about our fuel and we're worried about our ETAs and when we're going to get to certain places. And so we always have to record those. Do you have something to write down with, like pen and paper and everything? You are going to need some scratch pad?
I do.
Okay, perfect.
Oh, that's right. So the start and start time is important.
Yep, because we're going to demonstrate or at least demo an IFR flight every time we fly from the very beginning. And so start was 3:07. And then we're going to say takeoff is about 3:15. That's going to be accurate by the time we get up there and get ready to go. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to set up all of our avionics and radios and everything prior to taking off.
Right.
So 122.8.
Correct.
Right, we're good. Now the next thing we're going to talk to, or next person we're going to talk to probably is going to be Cleveland approach out of Mansfield, which is 124.2. So just make that small one go to the left until 0.2 comes on there. And that's going to be Cleveland approach for Mansfield. Perfect. And then we'll go ahead and put him in our COM2 as well. So the next one after that, we're going to have to use Bucyrus weather because Marion weather is out right now. So here, you can use these 2 dials to get me to 126.625. So
how do you get that 0.25?
If you use this one over and keep going to till you get to 60.
12660?
Until 60, good. And now hit that 25 button. That'll take you to 126.625. That's what that is.
Okay.
We'll switch that over. And then we get a little lucky because Marion is actually the same as us, 122.8 on their CTAF. So those are the 3 that we can probably use. And then the only thing I want to use for my navigation, I want to switch over to VFR to get this frequency here, is I want to use the Marion VOR, which is 109.8. So when I want to switch down to being able to change right now I'm changing my COM. If I want to change my navigation, push that button in for me. That blue is going to go down there, and now I can change my navigation. So let's go ahead and put that into 109.8 by just adjusting the small one right here. Switch that up for me. And that's going to be set up for when we need to use our VOR, okay? All right, so that's good. The only other thing I want to do before we take off here is I want to check the accuracy of my GPS. We call it rain prediction or rain availability. So go ahead and move that back big button twice to the right, I believe. Yep, and now use the small one to move it to the right. Back a little bit, there we go. Push that one in. And then bring it down to rain prediction. Hit enter for me. Yep, that should do it. Where are we at? There we go. And if we hit enter, and then it's saying, where do we want to use? So if we put that in there, back one.
What's a rain prediction?
So with your GPS, so what rain prediction is going to do is it's going to guarantee that you're going to have your GPS signal the entire time that you need it, okay? And so it's guaranteeing satellite availability. If you don't have it, then you can't trust your navigation for the entire length of your course, and you have to have something else to navigate by.
Okay.
So what we're going to say is, okay, yep, today is fine, and let's say we're going to need to be there in arrival time an hour from now. Enter. Yes, RAM's going to be available, which means we're going to have satellite signal needed for the GPS for as long as we are going to be on this trip. All right, so we're good there. Everything looks good. Go ahead and take me up to that line. So as I mentioned, if you don't have that RAME available, you're not able to use GPS as your sole navigation. You have to have DOR, and you have to have DOR the whole time you're. Remember, brakes up top, rudders down below, nice smooth pressure, and we'll stay at 1,000 RPM. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and clear the traffic pattern for us here, and we're going to do that by clearing downwind, base, and final. We're going to look over our shoulder, and we're going to make sure that the runway behind us is clear.
Yep, clear.
All right, and then what I'll usually say is we don't hear anything or see anything, so we're good. And the last thing we have to do is make sure this is actually 02. So we have confirmed, or at least we will when we roll out, that this is the right runway. So go ahead and make your radio call, and your radio call can be pretty simple. Just Wadsworth traffic, 72 Quebec, departing 02, departing the pattern to the west.
Wadsworth 72 Quebec, departing runway 02 to the west.
Wadsworth traffic. Yep, perfect. Okay, take me on out there. Nice and gentle with that throttle. We shouldn't need too much to go. We got downwind here. Downwind and downhill. Okay, as we go out, we are clear to the right. Runway's clear. Okay. Take me out to that center line, get me stopped. We'll check our pressure one more time, temp one more time. We'll verify it's the right runway, and then you are set. We'll take a look at that windsock on the other side of the field. Know where that wind's coming from. Definitely left and right, so we're going to need a little bit of that left crosswind direction to start off with in our ailerons. And the crack right there is a pretty good thing to line up to. If you can line up right on that
traffic,
crack.
November 733, Bravo Kilo is taxiing from the ramp to 02 Wadsworth.
Okay.
All right. Flaps up.
Yep, we're good. Pressure, temperature. I see a big 2 right there, and it's confirmed our heading indicator. We're good.
Heading 02.
So remember, if you remember from crosswind, we'll start there and then take it out. Okay, whenever you're ready.
So this is speed is what, 60?
Yeah, so you're going to want to, the outside gauge is miles per hour, the inside gauge is knots. Go ahead and take off at about 65 on the outside. 65 on the outside would be good.
Okay.
Yep. Okay.
All right.
All right, heels on the floor all the way. Make sure we're completely off those brakes. Eyes at the end of the runway, just enough rudder to keep straight. And you can keep taking off those ailerons, keep taking out that aileron as we go, and you can keep taking those ailerons out. Oh, take those ailerons out, yeah. Just a little wing low when we take off, or it'll be in a kind of full bank on us.
Oh, it is.
And then we'll climb out at about 85 miles an hour. If you stick your nose on the horizon, that'll usually get you pretty close.
Yep, there's my 85. You okay, Marcos?
You alright back there?
Can you hear us?
Can you hear? Nope, not sure.
Can you hear us?
Not sure. Got some birds. So we'll turn crosswind when we get 800 feet above the ground, so 1800, but as I mentioned, just go ahead, climb up and through the pattern.
Well, County 7472 Delta Charlie, Lima 3000 foot base, overflying the field, Well County.
And repeat per second.
As you can fly more consistently, you'll get so much more comfortable with it in the process. And
Yeah, like I said, I haven't flown since December.
exactly. You're doing fine. All right, so and see how much easier it is up here, how much smoother it is. It's just getting hot down on the surface, and it's baking. It's creating those thermals, that updraft, and giving us a little bit of problems. But up here, we're nice and steady. Okay, we're coming up 1,800 feet. Go ahead and take a look to the right here. We've cleared crosswind. We can go ahead and turn crosswind and make that call for me that we're crosswind for 02.
Wadsworth, 72 Quebec, right crosswind. Wadsworth.
And just crosswind for 02. And let's go ahead and get turned to the left here.
I'll just say crosswind.
Yeah, just crosswind for 02. All of our traffic patterns are to the left, so shouldn't have to clarify too much. Oh. And then you're not going to do it now, but I'm going to swing that harness over your shoulder.
Sure.
Just make sure that when we go cruise that you put that harness on for me. Okay, and then right away we can take a look downwind. Downwind's good. I'm cleared on downwind. You can keep that climb going for me. And go ahead and turn downwind for me. And then just make the radio call. It'll just be Wadsworth traffic, 72 Quebec, downwind for 02, Wadsworth.
Wadsworth, 72 Quebec, downwind.
02.
02, Wadsworth.
Perfect. All right, and just keep that climb going. You're about 110 miles an hour, so we always want to keep this about 185 miles an hour or so, and that'll keep this climb going. We don't want to level off. You can retrim up if it helps you keep that nose on the horizon. Especially in 72 Quebec, if we don't encourage this thing to climb, it'll be happy at whatever altitude we're at.
Oh, this one is?
Yeah.
Fort Clinton traffic, Cutlass 732.
It's like an autopilot built in, huh?
Right.
4,200.
Oh, it'll fall. Don't worry.
This
This doesn't like to climb unless you coax it. Okay, and then we're going to keep this going here.
I can't see.
Hey, as long as you
Holy crap.
as long as you can only see your instruments, I don't care. So
this is good. I can't see crap, man.
good. Make sure you can see all, and you can look up to see your heading or your magnetic compass, just so you know. But
this is exactly what I'm saying.
perfect. And your radios, obviously, your GPS and everything you're allowed to look at. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to get you on course here. Marion traffic 7072 Quebec is departing the pattern to northeast Marion. Okay, so we got our climb going still, right?
Right.
We're about 85 miles an hour.
Right.
We're holding 063. So what I want you to do is, I want you to do that scan that we talked about the other day. Most of your attention's on your attitude indicator. Spend a couple seconds on this, and then you're going to move to your altimeter and your vertical speed. That'll determine, once we're level here, if your pitch is correct. Then you go back to your attitude indicator for a couple seconds. Then you're going to glance down at your heading indicator and your turn coordinator, right?
Right.
That's going to determine, with your attitude indicator, that your bank is correct. Your airspeed and straight and level is going to be determining your power. So as long as your airspeed's okay, your power's good. I don't include that except every maybe 3 or 4 scans through. So my eyes will go from my attitude indicator to my altimeter and vertical speed, back here to my heading and my turn coordinator, then back to my attitude. Every 3 or 4 cycles through, I'll look at my airspeed to make sure that my power setting hasn't slipped on me. But spend a couple of seconds on your attitude indicator so you don't get eye strain. You don't want to just be bouncing back one to the other, okay?
Okay.
So I'm going to get us up to 3,500 feet, set us up, and then I just want you doing straight level for me, okay?
Got it.
Wadsworth,
Alright, so
Cherokee 884
I
uniform,
get within 50
5 miles
feet
to the
on
west,
my
get
climb,
runway
I'm nice and
02
patient with
Wadsworth.
it. I'm going to push that nose down, and I'm going to monitor that
Take right where the
altimeter
traffic,
needle.
citation 675,
Because just like an
Alpha
instrument
Bravo
works,
is,
just like an instrument, my altimeter is my primary for my pitch. So I can use that to know if my pitch is right to finish off that climb. Okay, so I'm going to push that down now, forcing it down so it doesn't climb anymore. Watch my airspeed now. Look at my airspeed kicking up, right? So now, once my airspeed kicks up, go ahead and lean the mixture back a little bit, pull that power back to my cruise power, and then retrim once I've found level. Be patient with it. Use my pitch to find level, not my trim. Let go of the yoke. It's rising on me a little bit. Now I can let go of the yoke, and it more or less flies well. Get the 5 degrees back that I need to be back. All right. So if you notice any variation in your heading or in your altitude, you have to make changes right away, okay? We want small changes. That attitude indicator, are those wings perfectly level right now for you?
Yes.
Okay. So if not, you can adjust them. All right, your aircraft. So I want you to hold 060 and 3,500 feet.
Okay.
And we're practicing that scan. So the attitude indicator is going to be our immediate indicator of bank changes and pitch changes. But then we're going to confirm that against our altimeter and our vertical speed for our pitch. Altimeter is the primary. And then we're going to confirm our bank to make sure we're not actually in a turn. We'll confirm that with our heading indicator and our turn coordinator. So now when I make a change of altitude, I have to use my attitude indicator. For altitude changes of less than 100 feet, I'm just going to use a half of that wing width. That's it.
Okay.
I'm going to make minor changes. I don't want to make big swings because then I can overcorrect.
Right.
Put myself in an unusual attitude. I don't want to do that. You're allowed to adjust that trim however you feel like you need to keep this plane straight. And don't stare at anything for too long. So we go attitude indicator, altimeter, attitude indicator, heading indicator. Every few cycles, throw in that airspeed. As long as your pitch isn't changing too much and your power's not changing, your airspeed will always be constant. And we fly perfect. 060 means 060.
This is hard.
Yeah. All turns are going to be made to a standard rate turn, but heading adjustments of 5 to 10 degrees is going to be like slow flight. We're going to drift. We're not going to try and turn the aircraft to get 5 degrees back. We've got time. Slowly just let that wing drift down. And sometimes you can just do it with rudder. You can just put a little rudder in. That'll make that wing drop towards the direction you want to go. And a lot of times that will course correct 3 or 4 degrees pretty easily for you. Okay, so
Wadsworth, Cherokee 884 uniform, left base. Runway 02, full stop, Wadsworth.
okay, we are going to track the Mansfield VOR.
Wadsworth traffic, number 5102 Delta, turning crosswind 02 Wadsworth.
Okay, do me a favor and turn to this heading, 038. So standard rate turn, which we know off our turn coordinator.
Wadsworth traffic, 5102 Delta, turning downwind 02 Wadsworth.
038. Look at your altimeter and vertical speed. Look at your attitude indicator to get to level. Attitude indicator to get to level. Let go of the yoke. The other nose wants to rise, that's the way it should. If we're dropping or climbing, it's because you're putting those inputs in the controls. So if you just let it go, it will more or less take you back to the level condition. Okay, let go of the yoke once. All right, my trim's just way too high. Let's push this back down, force it to level on your attitude indicator, and then release the nose and see what happens. Let it go. It should stay. It's not, right? So you're not trimmed up properly. So get it back, stop touching that trim. You don't know where level is. That trim doesn't tell you anything until you're actually level, right? Right. So we're going to learn level by our altimeter. That's our pitch. Right? Altimeter is primary for our pitch. So we're going to get that needle completely stopped, and that's level. Okay? Now it better be level on your attitude indicator.
Right, because
Otherwise, your attitude indicator is not set right. Okay? Now, I'm holding it down right now. Now, if I let it go, it's trimmed like way to the moon. So I'm going to force that nose down with my trim. But you have to get level with your altimeter and your muscle. And then you find out what's that level, and then you can retrim at that point. But don't try and find level with the trim. You don't know what you're looking for yet. Okay, so you are tracking pretty well the Mansfield VOR using this right here, okay?
Right.
So that's what I want you to do, is use that needle. Now 035 was holding it pretty well. So I would turn to the right just a little bit, drift me over to 035 to 040, pick somewhere in there, and then hold that exact heading. And let's see how we hold that needle on the way in. And then, just so I want you to kind of get practiced, and then do me a favor, let's get back up to 3,500, okay? So if we have to use some power, you can use some power. That's perfectly fine. If you're just going to pitch up, you better watch that airspeed indicator and make sure you're not getting too slow. And then I need you to hold me on 035 to 040. Attitude indicator. What's it say we're in right now? There you go. So now we look at our heading indicator and we realize, okay, we need to go back to the right about 30 degrees. So let's give me a turn to the right. Standard rate turn, no more. Okay, so hold 040 for me. So still keep your cross check going. Even when we're in a turn, we have to look at our altimeter and our vertical speed. So when we go into a turn, our airspeed is still our primary for our power. Our altimeter is still our primary for our pitch. It doesn't change. But we'll initially use our turn coordinator as our primary for our bank, so we can are established in a standard rate turn. And then rolling out, we're going to use our heading indicator again.
Okay.
25.35.
25.35 for 5 Tango Charlie.
Cleveland approach, Skyhawk November 7072 Quebec, 15 miles west of Mansfield Airport, level 3,500 with request. So attitude indicator will tell us if we're in a turn. Give me level with the attitude indicator. Now look at my heading indicator.
Right? 7072 Quebec.
Is it possible to have VFR flight following back to Wadsworth Airport, 3 Golf 3, 7072 Quebec?
72 Quebec, Chuck 4663.
4663, 7072 Quebec.
Or 555 Tango Papa, Cleveland.
All right, now without doing big control changes, just let me drift to the left a little bit. Use your attitude indicator so you can establish yourself in a very gentle click to the right. Now go ahead and take it out. Now look at your heading indicator. Okay, you're pretty close here, right? Now your attitude indicator should show you when you're level, and straight.
Right.
So you got to hold it with your attitude indicator. That's why you're looking at that longer. That's an instantaneous, am I climbing, am I in a turn, or am I descending, right? So you hold that. Now the reason we look at other instruments and we can't just use the attitude indicator, exactly. If that attitude indicator screwed up, we could be in a straight nose down, straight up, 90-degree turn, and we don't know it. So you got to use your attitude indicator to hold it perfect, and then we look down and we go, nope, okay, we got to drift back to the right again. So nice, gentle. Since there's only 10 degrees, you can use your attitude indicator there. And then glance at your altimeter, make sure you're not climbing or descending into this turn. And then we look at our heading indicator as we get closer. That'll be our primary to roll out on. There we go. Now we can more or less roll out. Now we're back on our attitude indicator again, straight over to our altimeter. Never go more than 10 seconds without looking at your altimeter or your heading indicator. Okay, so now we're looking at our VOR, right? Because we're supposed to be tracking our VOR. But we've been consistently off to the left of that heading, right? So we got to go way to the other side. So let's go ahead and get established in a turn to 050. We're going to get established with our turn coordinator. Once we get into that standard rate, we can now use that attitude indicator. All right, now I'm my heading. There we go. All right, let's start getting out of it. 050 is where we're heading. Come on, there you go, use your attitude indicator to get level. Now look at my altimeter. Now I don't want you drifting to the left anymore. You've got a constant drift to the left. So hold that 050. And if it's not right, let's make little corrections so we don't have to make those 20, 30 degrees. Those are harder to make. Man, Cleveland approach today just doesn't like to tell that we're in radar contact or what they want us to do.
They're not busy.
They're just like, all right, squawk it, you're good. Okay, 050 is the heading. Look at my attitude indicator. Back even a little bit more here. Let's keep me back up to about 85 miles an hour.
Or 85?
Yeah. I always climb, always climb by your airspeed indicator, not your vertical speed indicator. Because you could put yourself into an altitude or an atmospheric condition where you can never climb 500 feet per minute, and you end up coming really close to a stall speed if you just keep pulling up until you get there. So we always climb by our airspeed indicator, never our vertical speed. All right, so where do you think those clouds are? Probably about 44,000.
40 Delta, downwind runway 27, clear it.